Greetings to all viewers. My name is Sunetra and we are into Internet of Things session with Python. So in our previous session, we have talked about some existing features of Python and its advantages. After that, we have seen how to set up a Python IDE to work with and what are the different interactive ways with Python, such as command line or file window and shell window. After that, we have seen Python syntax. Okay, into that we have talked about Python keywords, some Python identifiers and Python statements also with indentation and the comments. So this was the brief summary of the previous session. Now in today's session, we'll talk about a variable, data types and the dictionaries in Python. So let's have a deep dive into it. So starting with the variables. A variable is like a container that stores the value that we can access or change. So it is a way of pointing to the memory with some location that can be used in our program. So you can just use variable to instruct the computer to save or retrieve the data or retrieve the data from or to from that particular memory location. So Python differs significantly from other languages such as Java, C or the C++ when it comes to the dealing with the variables. Other languages declare and bind a variable to specific data type. But this means that it can only store the unique data type. Hence, if the variable is of integer data type, then you can only save integer in that particular variable whenever the program is running. But that benefit that we have in the Python is lot of more flexible when it comes to handling variable. Okay, so if you just need to have a variable, that's it. You will just think about the name and declare it by accessing the value. So if you need to, you can just change the value and the data type that can variable store during the program execution. Okay, suppose if you want to give an example, we'll just have an example regarding the same. So here in Python, you can declare a variable by giving it a value. Suppose now we have declared here a variable called as my underscore variable and we have assigned the numerical 10 value to it. So take a note that when you are declaring a variable, you are not stating that this variable, that means I am talking about my underscore variable, is equal to 10. Okay, but that statement actually means that my underscore variable is set to 10. So to increase the value of that particular variable, you can just enter this statement on the command line. For example, my underscore variable is equal to my variable plus 3. So as I have told you, when we have mentioned or declared my underscore variable equal to 10, that means instead of assigning the value, we have set that particular variable to 10. So whenever we'll add plus 3 into it, it will give me other value. That is, suppose if I'll just type this, what kind of response I'll get? I'll be getting 13. So if you want to see, I'll just type print into the curly bracket my underscore variable. So I'll be getting the output as 13. So to use my underscore variable to store a literal string yellow. Okay, suppose if I want to store yellow into my underscore variable, then we just simply set that variable to yellow. Okay, and if you want to print it, if you want to see what that particular variable is storing the data, then you can just go ahead and write down print into the curly bracket my underscore variable. So it will give you output as yellow. So I hope that you understand when we are declaring the variables what does mean into Python. Moving further to data types in the Python. So Python handles several data types to facilitate need of programmers and the application developer for workable data. So this includes string, numbers, booleans, list, date and time. We have already mentioned some on the screen. So moving further to strings. A string is a sequence of Unicode character that may be combination of letters or numbers and some specific symbols also. So to define this string in the Python, you can just enclose the string in the matching single or double quotes. Now here on the screen you can see one example. We have given one variable called as string1 equal to into the double quote. I am enclosed with the single quote. Okay. And again in the second string2 I am enclosed with the double quote. So if a literal string enclosed in the single quote contains a single quote, okay, so you will be have the place of a / before the single quote within the string to escape that character. Okay, for example, string 3. So it doesn't look good at all. To print string 3, what we'll get? We'll get print into the curly bracket string 3. So it will display. It doesn't look good at all. So of course, you wouldn't have to find if you just use the double quotes to enclose the string. Okay, so similarly, suppose if you have a place of a / before the double quotes, and if your string is enclosed in the double quotes, then you can just go ahead and use it. So he said, okay, and then automatically that double quotes will come on the screen. For example, into the variable text, we have passed the value such as he said, okay, and then after / and then again into the double quote, we have mentioned what should be there on the screen under that double quote. So while using the print function and calling the text variable there, simply it will display he said, and into the curly bracket, into the double quote, it will shows us you should get the same result no matter how you choose to enclose a string. So if you want to have that double quote on your screen, you just have to put a / on our statement. Okay, so after as you understand how this string functions work, okay, string data type works, we'll just understand now how this exactly store the data. So string may be indexed or a subscript. So in Python, indexing start from 0 instead of 1. So hence a string's first character has a 0 index. So on the screen you can see an illustration how that string indexing works in the Python. Okay, suppose if I want to write a code saying hello Python on the command line. Okay, on the command line I have took a variable s, and into that I have passed the value like hello Python. So how this will store, or how this will use as an index in the string. So this is the pictorial graphic that we have shown here. Okay, so at the 0 indexing my h will be there, and then go on. So hello Python will cover this many space, and you can see here at the index 5. Okay, so it is a blank space, so it will take that as well. So to access the first character on the string, you just have to create, type or enter the variable name. So here we have used as a s and the index 0, okay, within the square braces. Suppose if I want to access a first index, or we can say the 0 index of my particular string, I can just go to the command line and use my variable name. Here in this case it is s, and into the square bracket if I'll mention the index number 0, so it will give me the value that is stored at that particular index. You can see here at 0 h is there, so it will automatically give me h value. Okay, so accessing the first character is easy because you know that this index number is 0. But if you don't have that particular advantage when you want to access that last character on the string, then so to access the last character, you can just use the expression such as s into the square bracket len, okay, into the again round bracket will take s minus 1. So now what we are going to do, we will be getting here output as a n. So as you see, this expression introduce you a len function, okay. So there is actually easier way to access the last item on the string. So whenever you will be using this len function, you can easily access the last what we can say, last string, okay, last item of the string, just putting -1 into it, okay. And whenever you will be using -2, that means you are going to access our preliminary character. So here it will be O. Now we'll talk about concatenating strings. So strings can be added together with the plus operator also in the Python. So to concatenate this string saying hello Python, you can just use it on your command window, hello plus Python with double quoted. So it will give you output as hello Python. And suppose if you want to have a repeating strings into it, then you can just easily repeat the string, or it's just concatenation with what we can say, if I want to repeat the particular alphabets or the string in my program, then I can just simply use. So whenever we want to just repeat the strings, you can just go and use this asterisk operator, okay. So suppose if I want to use it, like suppose entering asterisk, okay, exponential sign, again asterisk, 5 will end, okay. So what it will gives me, it will just repeat it 5 times, okay. So you will get the same result with this. So suppose if I am setting my s variable to this value and I am making it into or hashtag 5, so what it will do, it will just give me a multiplication or a repetition of that particular string or any value that is stored to the particular variable 5 times. Now getting the size of the string. So you can just get the size of the string with the len function. For example, to get the size of the string world. So you can just go ahead and on your command line you can type len into the circular bracket and under double quote world, okay. So what it will give you, it will give you 5. So exactly what it does, it will give me the size of that particular string. If you count WORLD are the 5 words, 5 string or 5 alphabets, so it will give me that length of the string. And if suppose the next we have is slicing string. So first if I want to do an operation such as slicing of my string, then you can just create the substring with the slicing notification. So how we can do it? You can just do it by placing 2 indices, that means a separate by a column within the square bracket, okay. So the first index marks as the start of the substring, while the second index indicates the index number of the first character that you don't want to include in the substring. Suppose for example, here we have program, okay, and into the square bracket we have mentioned here 3, and the second index I have mentioned 5. So automatically it won't take that first 3, okay, and then the next number, so it will just give me GR, okay. So suppose, for example, again in the next command line, if you just type program and into the square bracket 3 with the first index and the next is 6, it will end as a GRA, okay. And if I want to go for just P is equal to program and 4, and I'm not mentioning anything into it, okay. Suppose for example, we can say is another way doing the same storing program, to the variable of manipulating the same variable to produce some desired result. Then I can just go further and just see the end one, okay. So you can see here it will just take the last 4 indexes. So if I type there P into the square bracket 4 with the double colon, so it will give me RAM. So it will just reduce first 4 indexes and it will display the remaining one. So conversely, if you want, that your substrings to start with first character or some original string, then you can just omit the first index and just write the last index. Now to be included, it can be on the substring. So you can see on the screen P, again we have mentioned the P variable with the string program, okay. So as we have done before, instead of taking first index as a 4, we have took the last index as a 4, okay, after double colon. So what it will do, it will just delete the remaining one and it will show the first 4, okay. Now talking about the other functions such as lower function and the upper function. So if you just have the string like Grand River, this is an example. This is a string and the value is set to variable C, and you can just decide that you need your data to be all in the lower case. Then you can just use lower function to print the string in the lower case, okay. For example, here you can see G and R, these both are into the uppercase, okay. So whenever you'll be using this with the lower function, so it will give us the lower function, lower case of the particular thing. So whenever we'll print into the curly into the circular bracket C dot lower, okay, with the function, so it will automatically make G and R with the lower case. So suppose if you just need to have a string to be all capitalized, then you can just evoke the upper function, okay, and just print the string in the uppercase. Suppose again we'll take the above example here. You can just type into your code like print and into the circular bracket C dot upper function, then automatically all alphabets will come to the uppercase. Now moving further to str method. So str function makes string out of the non-string character, okay. So this will allows programmer to print non-string characters, as if they are just string character. So this is very handy when you are just using some instance like suppose to print integer along with the string. So here you can see, okay, we have took a pi value and after that str function, and into that we have used pi So it will gives us a value like 3.1416. And whenever we'll give the functions like print, this is my favorite number plus str pi. So this what it will gives us, it will gives us the output as this is my favorite number 3.1416. So this can be done with the help of str function. Now moving further to numeric data types. Numeric data types is one of the many convenience of using Python, that can be, you don't really to have declared the numeric value to distinguish it like what it is of a type. So Python can, readily tell one data type from the another data type when you write or run your statement. So we can say it has 4 built-in numeric data types. Python 3 supports 3 data types. Okay, so those are integer, floating point numbers, and we can say complex number as well. Long integer, that means long, now no longer is a form of the separate group of the integer, but it can be, we can say it is included into the integer itself. So talking about integer, that is int. So integer are whole numbers without decimal point. So they can be positive or negative as long as they don't contain a decimal point that would make the number floating number. Okay, and a distinct numeric type. So we can say integer have unlimited size in the Python 3. So here we can see a regular integer. We have given one example that it may be 793 or minus 254, or it will be simply 4. So this is an example of a regular integer. Now octal literals. So when we say octal, that means we are talking about base 8. So to indicate an octal number, you will use a prefix as 0, 0 or 0, 0 followed by either lowercase or uppercase letter O. Okay, 0 with O or 0 with uppercase O. So that is something called as octal literal. So here we have took an example. So into our octal literal, we have took a variable as a and set the value to 0 capital O 7. Okay, and whenever we'll call that particular value to print into the print function, it will gives us data or gives us output as a 7. Now hexadecimal literals. So to indicate hexadecimal literals, you will just use the prefix 0 and the uppercase or lowercase letter x. As we have used O in octal literals, here we are going to use x, whether it is uppercase or the lowercase. So in this example, you can see here on your command line, hcxxlit is our variable and we have set it to 0x AOC. Okay, so whenever I'll call that particular variable into my print function, it will give me the exactly hexadecimal literal value of AOC. So that will be 2572. Now talking about binary literals. When we say binary, that means you are talking about base 2. To signifying binary literals, you will just use the prefix 0 and the uppercase or the lowercase b. Okay, so as we have took a variable c here, okay, so c we have set it to the 0 lowercase b 1100, and whenever we'll call that particular variable into the print function, it will give the exact value of 1100, that is 12. So this was about numeric data types. Okay, now we'll see how to do a conversion from integer to their string representation. So earlier you have seen like how to print the command that can convert literals to their equivalent in the integers. So Python makes it easy for us to work the other way around by converting our integers to the string representation. So it will be a proper integers to their literal representation. Okay. So to convert an integer into the string representation, you can simply use the functions such as xex, okay, hex, or bin for binary, hex is for hexadecimal, whereas oct for octal. Okay. Here you can see an example. To convert integer 7 to its octal literal, you can just simply go ahead and type enter like OCT into the circular bracket 7 on the command prompt. So you will get an output as 007. So here is what happened, that when you convert the integer, suppose in the second example, if you just convert the integer into 2572 to the hexadecimal literal, then obviously you are going to use a function like hex into the circular bracket 2572, and it will gives us the output such as 0xa 0c. Okay. And finally, if you can just see here, if you want to go for binary functions, then you can just use it. Suppose for example, bin into the bracket 12, so it will give me literal value of it, that is 0b1100. So you can just store the result to a variable by defining the variable with hex, bin, or oct functions. Okay. So with the help of this, you can just go ahead and store the result into the variable. So here we have stored the exact hexadecimal value of 2572 into the variable x. So whenever we'll be calling that particular x variable, it will gives us a literal value which is stored on that particular variable. Okay. Now moving further, now we'll see type function. So to see the object type that can be created or stored in the variable, suppose in this example x, you can just use and enter the command like type function. So on the screen you can see type into the bracket x. So what it will give you? It will give you result like class of string str. So it will give me the type of that particular data which is stored on that particular variable. So moving further, now we'll talk about the floating point. So basically floating points are the numbers that can be, it just we can signify as a real number. So floats are written with some decimal points that can be segregate the integer from the fractional number. Okay, it's a basic math. So they may also written in the scientific notation where the uppercase and the lowercase letter e is there. That will signifies the 10th power. Okay. So if you can see on the screen, it is 6.2e3. Okay. What does that mean? It will give me the output 6200.0. Okay. And the second example, 6.2e2, that means again it will reduce 1 0 from the result. It will give me 620. Now about complex numbers. So complex numbers are a pair of, we can say it's a pair of real and imaginary numbers. So they can take form of a plus bj. Okay, for example, and where a can be a float and the real part of the complex number. On the other side, bj, where the b is a float and the j or its lowercase indicates that it's a square root of that imaginary number. Okay, suppose -1. So this makes b as the imaginary part of that complex number. So here on the screen you can see an example. So into the variable a, we have passed or set the value like 2 plus 5j. Into the b, it is 4 minus 2j. And when it comes to c, we have add these two variables, that is a plus b. And whenever we'll call c variable to print, it will gives an output like 6 plus 3j. Okay, so the complex numbers are not extensively used in the programming language, so no need to think about too much about this. Now conversion of numbers type. You can expect Python to convert expressions with some mixed type of the numbers to the common type, to facilitate evaluation. So in some situations, however, you may have to convert one number type to the other explicitly, or like when the conversion is required by the function parameters. So you can just type this, if you want to try, you can just go ahead and type this expression to convert a number into another type. Okay, so what's happening here? You can see, you can just convert x to the float, suppose. Okay, so on my command window, I'll write there float as x. Okay, so what it will give me? Float 12, that is 12.0 will give, and to convert that particular x to the plain integer, okay, suppose now in this case it is just 12, so instead of float, I'll directly go ahead and mention there int. So automatically float kind of a data type will convert into integer kind of a data type. So whenever you'll just call print, so it will just give me plain 12 value. So to convert x to a complex number, you can just go ahead and use the complex function. Suppose for example here we have used we have used 12. So whenever I'll write down complex into the bracket 12, so it will give me output like 12 plus 0j. So this was about conversion of number type. Now moving further to date and the time. So most applications require date and time information to make it work efficiently and effectively. So in Python, you can use the function like datetime.now. Okay, so you can retrieve the current date and the current time with the help of this function. So the command datetime.now will calls on a built-in Python code which gives us current date and the time. So to get the date and the time from Python, you can just encode this following code which is there on the screen. Okay, so if you just use from date time import date time, and you'll just call that particular function like datetime.now, so it will gives us particular date and the time of that particular zone. So the date time is we can say is in this format is almost unintelligibly, okay, and you might want to get a result such as a separated one, okay, and most readable one. So you can just go ahead and use strf time. Okay, so from this Python standard library you can use this function. This is strf time. Okay, and into that you can just pass the particular value like year, okay, percent year, percent m, percent d, okay, or h for hour, m for minute, s for second. So it will give you a standard format of a date, that is year, month, date, hour, minute and seconds. So with the help of strf time, you can use a current date with the particular format. Moving further to Boolean data type. When we say Boolean, that means we are talking about either true or false. So comparison in Python can only be generated one of the two possible responses, either true or false. So these data types are called as Booleans. Okay, on the screen, if you want to have an illustration of it, we can just go ahead and see, like type this particular command line into your command line. Okay, so to create several variable to store the value, boolean value and print the result. So suppose bool underscore 1 is a variable where we have passed the value of 4 and which is we have given equal to 2 into 3, whereas boolean 2 and that we have said 2, like 10 is less than 2 into 3, whereas bool underscore 3 is another third variable that we have, which states or set to 8 is greater than 2 into 4 plus 1. And whenever we'll call that particular variables into print function, so it will gives a result in our Python shell, such as first statement is false, whereas second statement is true, and the third statement will false. So whenever we'll be using a boolean data types, either it will just pass the two values, either true or false. Now moving further to list. A list is a data type that can be used to store and type, store any kind of a data type and the number of variables and even some information also. So again, a list is a kind of a data type which can be used to store multiple kind of data types. So you can just find, suppose you just have this expression on the screen. Okay, so my list is a list variable. Into that we have passed the values item 1, item 2, item 3. Okay, this is so it's an expression that we can just define our list data type. So Python will also allow us to create the empty data types also. Suppose if I want to have an empty list, then I can just go ahead and type my underscore list, and into the square bracket I will not mention anything. So Python will understand this is an empty list that we have. Okay, so example, we'll take it as, suppose colors is a variable. Into it we have passed the list like red, orange, yellow, green, indigo and the white. So this is a list that we have passed the value into it, and as it is a string, so we have mentioned it under the double colon. So since this is an index list, so the first item on the color has a 0 as an index. Okay, so red will be 0 index, whereas orange will be first, yellow will be second index, green will be third index, indigo will be 4 index, and the white will be 5th index. Okay, so whenever I want to print the value at the 0 index, I will just put print into the bracket colors, that means my variable name, and in the square bracket I'll mention the index number, so it automatically pass the value to the red. Okay, so same thing if I'll do for the index number 4, so it will give me indigo, whereas if I want to understand how many colors are there or how many values it is stored in the list, so I'll simply go and use the function as len function. Okay, into that len function I'll call that particular variable, so it will gives me the store value list into it, that is 6. Okay, so you can just there are only 6 colors so on your list, but if you want to have all the 7 colors of the rainbow in your list, then you can just go ahead and add also into your list. We'll just see how to add it. First just print colors. Okay, so you'll get the red, orange, yellow, green, indigo and the white color, the simple previous list. Okay, and if you want to just remove anything to that particular thing, particular list, you can just go ahead and use remove function. Okay, so as it appears that the color list doesn't just lack of many color name, we can just also go one member to be deduct from it. Suppose for example, if we want to deduct or white, okay, if I want to add white, here we were not having, here we were having white. Okay, we want just have to remove the white first and then we'll add it again. So how you can go, you can just go and use the function as remove and into the bracket use white. Okay, So whenever you'll call that particular colors variable into print function, so except white, it will just display all the colors of the list. Okay, now we'll see what append command means. Now suppose into the list it is still two. Suppose if I want to now go ahead and just add violet and the blue into it. Okay, so what I can do, I just want to add violet into the color list. Okay, and with the help of append command. So what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and call that colors variable dot append function, and into that, into the square, into the bracket, I'll mention violet. So it will automatically, what it will do, it will add that violet color into our list. And if you just print that particular colors, that means variable, so it will now give us red, orange, yellow, green, indigo and violet. It won't gives us white color because we have already removed that. So the color violet was added at the end of the list. Now suppose if you only need to add one more color, suppose blue. So how you are going to do this? You just go and insert. If you want to insert that particular blue color into the in between green and the indigo, then you can just use insert function method. Okay. So how you can use it? Just go ahead and the syntax for that, it is list dot insert. Okay, into the bracket index and the object. So in our example, colors is our variable, so we'll call colors dot insert function, and into that we'll mention the phone number. Why? Because we want that our new color blue that should come in between green and the indigo. If you can see, red 0, orange 1, yellow 2, green 3. Okay, now I want my 4 index should contain the blue. That's why we have mentioned blue here. So automatically 4 index will store the value of blue. And whenever you will just again call that print colors into the print function, variable into the print function, it will automatically see, you can see blue at the index of 4. So in this way we can just add particular value at particular index also into the list with the help of insert command. So now we see slicing the list. We can also slice the list in the same way that we slice the string. Suppose for example, if you only want to display the color like green, blue and the indigo with the index 3, 4 and 5 respectively, you can just use the command such as just go and call the particular variable name, that is in our case it's a color, and I'll be calling only from index 3 to 6. Okay, when we say index 3 to 6, that means 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now 6 will not come because it is before 6. So it will just give me the values such as green, blue and indigo from the list. So this is the way we can slice a particular list with a particular index. Moving further to dictionary. So dictionary is like a list, okay, but instead of looking up to an index to access different values, you'll be using just a unique key, okay, which can be a number or string or tuple as well. So dictionary value can be anything such as, but it will be not the key, okay, it will be we can say it should immutable data type. Okay, so a colon separates a key from its value and all are enclosed in the curly braces. So the structure for the dictionary can be D, okay, equal to into the curly braces here key 1, then key 2, it is separated by the colon, key 3, okay, and so on. So if I want to have an empty dictionary, then simply I'll just go ahead and I'll mention D is equal to into the curly brackets. I'll not mention anything so that my Python interpreter will understand this is an empty dictionary. So dictionary can be very useful tool, okay, for storing and manipulating the key values with the pairs, such as we can say those can be used in the phone books, directory or the menu or even login data as well. So you can just add, modify or delete existing entries within the dictionary. So if you want to see how actually the dictionary works, you can just create a dictionary name, okay. So here we have took an example as a menu, okay, and into this menu we have different dishes, okay, spam, carbonara, salad. So to see how many key values pair are there to store in the dictionary, you can just use the len function if you remember, okay. So len, so len into the bracket I'll mention the particular variable name, that is menu. So it is showing me the result as 3 because spam, carbonara and salad, these 3 are there, okay. So if I want to print the current entries from the menu dictionary, I can just go ahead and print into the bracket menu variable. So it will give me the result that is stored at the directory. And suppose if you want to add another entry into it, you can just go ahead, mention like a structure for that, syntax for that will be D into the square bracket key 4 with the colon and the value B, okay. So applying this to our example, you can just go ahead and see. Now we are going to add cake as our 4th entry in our dictionary. So into the bracket, into the square bracket, we'll mention cake is equal to 6. So automatically it will gives, and whenever you print it, it will gives the value like spam, cake, carbonara and salad, okay. So assuming no longer if you want, no longer that can be include spam. Suppose for example if you want to delete or remove the spam in from your menu, you can just go ahead, okay, just go ahead and use the function as del, okay. So del, then the variable and mention which key you want to delete, mention into it. So automatically it will delete from the dictionary. So now if you just call the print function with the menu variable, it will give you all entries instead spam. And suppose if you want to change the values to any key, then you can just go ahead and use, suppose in this case we have carbonara's value as 20 and instead of 20 I want it 22. I just go ahead and use it like menu into the square bracket my key, okay. Here in this case is carbonara and instead of 20 I want the value should be 22, so I'll assign 22 into it, and whenever I'll print that particular menu variable, automatically that change value will display on my screen. Okay, now next functions we have as a clear, okay. So if you want to remove all the entries from the dictionary, you just have to simply use CLR clear function, okay. So it will be like, suppose in our case it is dict dot clear into the menu. So whenever we'll call this function, automatically whatever entries are stored into our menu dictionary, it will automatically erase and it will gives us an empty dictionary. So next we have a delete for kind of a function, okay. So the Python shell, suppose for this if you want to delete any particular value, you can just go ahead with the DLE dec, DICT dec function. Okay, so if you are going to use this, suppose DLE and dictionary name in our case is menu. So if I use DEL menu, and if I'll try to print it, that means I will just want to print my menu as a dictionary. So what it will do, it will gives me an error because it doesn't have anything and it is already deleted. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's session and you understand what are the different data types that we have in the Python as well as the variables. Thank you.